Right now, we are watching one of the biggest, most high-stakes tech rollouts in the entire world. Tesla's full self-driving software is about to face its most difficult challenge yet, and honestly, the outcome could change absolutely everything.
It feels alive. That's how Elon Musk is describing the newest version of Tesla's full self-driving, or FSD, software. And that's a pretty wild claim, right? He's not just talking about a simple upgrade here. He's suggesting this is a fundamental leap in how a car actually sees and understands the world around it.
So, what's behind that feeling? Well, it's a massive, massive leap in complexity. This new version has a tenfold increase in its parameter count. Now, just think of parameters as the AI's neurons. By making that 10 times bigger, Tesla is basically giving the system a much larger brain, one that's designed to make smarter, more human-like decisions when things get chaotic on the road. But that's where the real test begins. I mean, it's one thing to develop this tech in sunny California, but it's a completely different ballgame to prove it can work in a country known for its incredibly strict safety standards and, let's say, cautious approach to new tech. Okay, so what's actually under the hood of this Alive update? Let's break down why this is so much more than just another software patch, why it's a potential game changer. So this isn't just about raw power, it's really about the feel of the drive. That huge jump in parameters lets the car handle really tricky situations better, like those scary unprotected left turns. But for you, the driver, the real promise is a ride that's smoother, more natural, and with way fewer of those annoying nags telling you to put your hands on the wheel. And all of this brings us to the real proving ground, Sweden. You might be asking, why there? Well, because if Tesla can make it in Sweden, they can probably make it anywhere. So while the tests are technically underway, Tesla has already hit a pretty big wall. Officials in Stockholm are hitting the brakes hard. They're saying a big citywide test is just way too risky for the public right now. It's the classic not in my backyard problem for this kind of cutting-edge technology. And this brings us to a super important word, homologation. This isn't just a guideline, it's a mandatory formal process in Sweden. Before any new car tech can be sold, it has to go through this intense certification to prove it meets their strict national standards. This is the gauntlet that Tesla absolutely has to get through. And this right here sets up the central conflict of this entire story. It's a total clash of cultures. You've got Silicon Valley's move fast and break things mantra colliding head-on with Europe's very careful, safety-first way of doing things. You can really see the two different worlds here. It's pretty stark. In the US, Tesla's method is all about being agile, basically using its customers for real-world beta testing to get data as fast as possible. And yeah, they've gotten a lot of criticism for that. But Sweden? Totally methodical. You need a permit from the government, a physical driver has to be ready to take over at all times, and you have to pass that strict homologation process we just talked about. It's a complete philosophical divide. So that begs the question, what does that approval process actually look like? It's definitely not a simple yes or no. No, it's a multi-stage marathon. First, you have to do a controlled test on a specific site, and the data from that gets evaluated. If you pass, great! Now you can apply for permission to test on certain approved highways. But the final boss, the really hard part, is getting approval for urban testing. That requires a totally separate application, and it's by far the toughest hurdle to clear. But you have to understand, this test in Sweden isn't just about getting a few permits. It's a really critical battle in a much, much bigger war for the future of the entire auto industry. So here's the key thing to remember. While Tesla is fighting with regulators in Stockholm, it's also fighting off competitors from all over the world. Legacy car companies, new EV startups, they're all closing the gap. Tesla desperately needs a game-changing tech like FSD to prove it's still way ahead of the pack. And if you want to see what that competitive pressure looks like in real numbers, just look at this. In China, one of the most important markets in the world, Tesla's market share has just plummeted, from 16% down to just over 3% in only 3 years. That is a massive wake-up call, and it's all because of fierce local competition. And the challenges are just piling up everywhere. Their market share is down in the US. Competitors like Hyundai and Kia are surging. They're dealing with disruptive labor strikes. And rivals like Waymo are still showing off performance stats that are, in some ways, better. The pressure on Tesla right now is just immense. But, and this is a huge but, here's the twist.
Despite all the regulatory headaches and the labor disputes, the Tesla Model Y is this single best-selling car in all of Sweden. So the brand is incredibly popular with the actual people there, which just adds another fascinating, complex layer to this whole situation.
So after all that, where does this leave us? What's the fundamental question at the very heart of this showdown between technology and regulation?
Well, it really all boils down to this. On one side, you have people who argue that the faster you gather real-world data, the faster you can perfect the system, and in the long run, save a lot of lives by reducing accidents. But on the other side, critics are saying that testing this unproven tech in busy cities right next to pedestrians and cyclists is just an immediate and unacceptable risk to public safety.
And that is why this test is about so much more than just Tesla or Sweden. The results here are going to have huge ripple effects. They will influence how every country decides to regulate this technology, and maybe even more importantly, they will shape how much we, the public, trust autonomous cars for years to come. Which leaves us with this final, crucial question. In the end, who gets to decide what our future on the road actually looks like? Is it the engineers pushing the boundaries of what's possible, or is it the regulators whose job is to keep all of us safe? The answer to that question is being written right now on the streets of Sweden.